In problem number 1 here, we're asked to find the limit as x approaches a from the left, from the right, and the overall limit. And our answers are either going to be infinity, negative infinity, or does not exist. So let's set up this first one here. For this first one, we have the limit as x approaches negative 3/7 from the left of this function. So negative 4 over 7x plus 3. All right, before we kind of concern ourselves with like the left side, right side, let's just kind of use direct substitution and see what happens. If we put negative 3/7 in here for x, that gives us 0 in the denominator, but we have a number up on top, right? Negative 4 over 0. So like I was saying with the class starter, this isn't one of those options where we have 0 over 0 where we can simplify, cancel things out, and then redo the direct substitution. Right? When we get a number over 0, one of these three is going to be our answers, either infinity, negative infinity, or does not exist. And to figure that out, we need to kind of look at both sides, the left side and the right side. If they're both the same, let's say they're both infinity, then our limit is infinity. If they're both negative infinity, then our limit is negative infinity. But if they're opposites, like one positive, one negative, then the overall limit does not exist. All right, so we have to look at each side. And we saw some stuff like this a while back. If we put negative 3/7 in there, we said we get 0. But if we're approaching it from the left side, we're looking at numbers that are smaller than negative 3/7, then what's happening is we're approaching 0 from the left side. And this is key here because with 0, left side, right side makes a difference because it tells us if it's going to be positive or negative. So here, we're going to get really, really close to 0 in the denominator, but it's going to be a negative number. So if we take just any old number divided by something that's really, really close to 0, that's going to give us a really big number. Like, it's going to keep getting closer and closer to infinity, or negative infinity. So at this point, we have to determine what's the sign? Is it going to be positive infinity or negative infinity? Well, we have a negative 4 divided by something really, really close to 0, but it's negative. So really, we have negative divided by a negative, which gives us positive infinity for part A. All right, and then if we look at part B, we're doing the limit as x approaches negative 3/7 from the right of the same function. Well, we're going to be approaching 0 again on the bottom, but this time we're going to be approaching 0 from the right side. So we're going to have something really close to 0, but it's positive. Now we're left with a negative divided by a positive, which is going to give us a negative answer. And since we have that number over something really, really close to 0, we're going to get negative infinity for this one. And since those two are not the same, our overall limit for part C, I won't even write it out. We just know that one is not going to exist because these are opposites.